When there's some new toy in your neighborhood, who you gonna call? Dave West of Needless Things. That's right, it's the newest unboxing here on the Needless Things YouTube channel. We are looking at the Ghostbusters Plasma Pack, which is the O-Ring Ghostbusters figures. If you listen to Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast, then you know for years we have been talking about, hey, let's get some of these licenses in O-Ring, and Hasbro somewhat shockingly did it. I have got the hopefully compatible Ecto 1 that was released initially with Afterlife, and then a redeco came out a few months ago, and we thought it was going to be a really long wait because originally these were coming out in February, but I just got them a few days ago from Big Bad Toy Store. And I am thrilled, and we're going to take a look. I didn't know these were coming in this awesome packaging. I was already kind of thinking about, man, am I going to need two sets of these because I want one to open. And if these are Ghostbusters on classic O-Ring style packaging, then I'm going to want another set to keep mint on card. And I don't know yet. I don't know what the packaging is yet because we've got a flap on the front. I've got to cut through the tape, see what it looks like. I might need two sets of these, and that's fine because I did my pre-order roulette, so I still have orders in at Pulse and at Amazon. We'll see who gets the second set to me first. But I didn't know it was going to be this awesome packaging. It looks like the old VHS box, obviously much larger, but it's just a really cool look. I dig it. And, you know, the outside box, easy enough to keep. But then if these are individually carded, then we'll see. We'll see what it looks like. You've got a circular adhesive piece holding the flap shut. Oh, that's disappointing. I mean, it's not. It's fine because now it means I feel like I have less need for two sets. Oh, man, they look really, really good, though. This is exciting. 40 years ago, four heroes of the hereafter crossed the streams to save the world. Commemorate the 40th anniversary of Ghostbusters with this limited edition 3.75-inch O-Ring action figure set. At least they didn't say 3.75-inch scale. Heroes of the hereafter, though. I don't know. That sort of suggests that they're dead, which granted one of them is, but, you know, whatever. Very, very cool packaging. I dig it. Let's get these figures out and see what they look like. Okay, so the one thing in waiting for these to come that I've been disappointed about is that they don't come with plasma streams. Like, it's the plasma pack, which, by the way, why is all of this plasma? Because plasma is not a thing in Ghostbusters. Ectoplasm is a thing, but plasma isn't really a thing. A weird decision to me there. Interior insert, cool sort of blueprint style images of the hardware. Cool enough. A little too glossy. I wish Hasbro would tone down that gloss. And then here are the figures and their accessories. Oh, man. This is so cool. What a dream. Because when I was a kid, I've talked about this many times before, but it was so disappointing in the 80s. Look, don't get me wrong. We had the most incredible toys ever made in the 80s. It's why, you know, nostalgia is such big business. It's why, you know, YouTube channels talking about nostalgia are such big business. I mean, we had the best toys. But when I was a kid, I just hated that nothing matched anything else. Like, I wanted Ghostbusters to play with my Joes. I wanted a He-Man to go with my Joes. I wanted everything to be this size. And at the time, I highly recommend, if you haven't checked it out, the Creators Series with John Kent of Toyfinity that went up a couple weeks ago on the channel. I highly recommend everybody go check that out. It is not just an interesting conversation about like Glyos style toys. As a matter of fact, it's much less that than it is a history of toys. Incredible conversation. I got so educated about so many things. Can't wait to talk to John again, but go check out that Creator Series if you haven't already. Yeah, this is so exciting. So, when I was a kid, and I've talked about this on Audible Interlude before. See, this is where I wish they were carded. I feel like lately, the trays are too hard. Like, there have been more than a few toys lately where I've been a little concerned that I was going to break something trying to get it out of the trays. All right. They feel great. Plastic feels good. The rivets match the surrounding colors, which is important. I'm not going to lie. That is... Oh, wow. What a nice touch. Okay. We'll get to the individual figures in a minute. I'm going to set those off to the side and do a little zoom in. We're going to start with Egon just because that's who I grabbed first. Portrait is great. Like, honestly, too good. But look at the hair. Fantastic. Got the little Spengler tampo. Ghostbusters, elbow pads. I'm not going to complain about that at this scale. That's one of the reasons I love this scale, is in a way there are things you can sort of get away with a little more. Like, on a 1/12 scale figure, that lack of deco there when you bend the elbow is weird, but at this scale, I don't care. I hate this. You guys know I absolutely hate this stuff. I'd rather it be sculpted in than printed on, because that looks terrible. I like the gloss on the boots and on the gloves. They've got the little hose deals here. Backpack straps, backpacks pop right out, which is good because, of course, to be an O-ring. Do I take it apart? I might as well. I'm just going to take one apart because there's really no reason to take all four of them apart. But we just want to see what's in here. All right. Pops open just as it should. Just traditional O-ring construction. There it is. Looks exactly like I thought it would look, but it is fun to, just to get that look inside. See if the construction is, what you expect it to be. Ah, that arm got away from me. There we go. All right. Pop that screw back in. There he is, good as new. Great range on the knees, on the hips, everything's good. Elbows, really nice deep bend, and this is what I was impressed with before. Look at the angle of those wrists, so he can actually hold the neutrino wand properly. Because if those wrists weren't angled, it would just be pointing straight up. But this should work out really nicely. So let's get the proton pack back on. The little paint here on the lights is almost too much, but it's okay. I do wonder if you can store the wand on the pack. And I also, what do we got going on here? Let's take a look. Oh, so that's a little more advanced than I expected. Check it out. So there's the plug. I don't know which way this is going to go. Well, it definitely doesn't go that way. Oh, there's an angle. You can see which way it goes in. It goes in like that. Hopefully. There we go. Slides right into place. Oh my gosh, look at that. And it's got the little tab. Beautiful. Look, they've even sculpted those ties or whatever they are. Those textures. And this stays on too. Like this is on here solidly. The friction is good. That's excellent. And then on the figure, looks pretty good. Doesn't stick up ridiculously high. And then when we want him, when he's ready for action, Oh, now this is interesting. His hand is a little more rigid than the Joe rings. Joe O-rings, whatever. There we go. Okay. So look. He can hold it a little bit, like he can angle that elbow a little bit so it doesn't look totally weird when he's holding it. Ah, it's great. I love it. I wish it had a stream. And if you notice, this is one of those naked eye things, because I'm looking directly at it right now and I can barely see this, but I do have a little paint loss right here on the thumb. But whatever. He is great. I will say this, looking directly at him, this is what I think Valor versus Venom figures would have looked like if they hadn't gone nuts with the proportions. Right? The rivets, the detail of the face, because that is, you could pop that head, I mean, potentially, I don't know if it would physically work. You could potentially pop that head on a Valor versus Venom figure and it would fit. I mean, it would look correct. It would fit in with the line. All right. There's Egon. I think we've gone through everything to go through, so we'll just zip through the rest of the guys. Winston. Zetamore. And these have, so 3 of these have the same bodies. And that's another thing that you can get away with when you're dealing with this scale. One of the problems I've had with larger scale Ghostbusters figures is Bill Murray, Harold Ramis, Ernie Hudson, and Dan Aykroyd are not the same physique. And all too often, companies that I will not name would just use the same 4 bucks, or the same, just put different heads on them. And that's not correct. They're different. But at this scale, you use the same 4 bodies, and who cares? It doesn't matter. Now, Bill Murray, or Peter Venkman does have some different pieces, and we'll take a look at that in a minute. But, and look at this. Egon stands up really nicely, too. No issues there. So, great portrait. I like the smile. Look at him. Oh, it looks just like him. Fantastic. Again, hips and knees work really well. Oh, and you know what else that angle is going to help with? Holding the steering wheel. Maybe. We'll see. We're going to try them out in the Ecto. So, let's... get that on there. Now, in these... when you get sets of Ghostbusters, they often have, the accessories are just kind of in there and you determine who gets what. I always give Winston the trap. I think just because when we meet him, first thing Dan Aykroyd does, or Ray does, is just hand him a nasty ghost trap. So I tend to give Winston the trap when it comes down to distribution of accessories. Trap looks great. Great sculpted detail, great painted detail. Doesn't open or anything, and you know what, at this scale, I don't need it to. That's the kind of thing you would use your imagination for back in the day. Slides right into his hand, looks great. And there he is. Winston with the trap. Oh, you know what? I'm going to take all these off anyway, so it hardly matters. But Egon gets the PKE meter. Lights aren't painted, screen isn't painted, that's fine. Just the fact, like, really these little accessories don't need any paint, in my opinion. So it's neat that they did a little bit extra. Looks good, great for the scale. Slide that in his hand. And look, that angled wrist is something, isn't it? Like, it really is kind of a game changer. Interesting. All right. Next up, Ray Stantz, which is, I think, the weakest of the portraits. It's good. It's fine. But like any of the others, I immediately recognize who they're supposed to be. This one is just a little, the likeness is a little soft. Everything moves nicely. I like that they went with a light color on the jumpsuits too, because I think sometimes there's a tendency to go a little dark with them. And you know, I've never seen a screen worn Ghostbusters uniform in person, so I don't really know the proper color. But a lot of times I feel like they look a little too dark. I like these. These are nice light. They're going to stand out on the shelf and look good. Okay, everything's good here. And of course, look at those. The Ecto goggles. Great. Naturally, Ray gets those. I usually just have them up on his forehead, but I do want to see him all the way down. I think what we're going to have to do is, put it over on the eyes first. There we go. Great. Now it looks more like Dan Aykroyd. And finally, Peter Venkman, who immediately looks like Bill Murray. And the difference on this figure is the pant legs, because Peter did not tuck his coveralls. I said jumpsuit before. He did not tuck his coveralls into his boots. They just hang out. So they did do that one difference, and I think it's great. So let's back up a little bit. Look at all four guys. I would have liked it if they threw a Slimer in here. That would have been nice. But this set was $45, which is, I think, a bargain. Especially considering what Hasbro was charging us for G.I. Joe O-rings. So I'm thrilled. I would love to see more figures. I don't know if it'll ever happen. The fact that they described it as commemorate the 40th anniversary with this limited edition, like, it kind of sounds like this might be it. I don't know that we'll get anything else. But of course, with the Ecto HasLab and the new 1/12 scale figures coming, you know, we've got that as well. Personally, I'd rather just go with this, but we'll see what happens with that HasLab, because as of the day I'm recording this, it hasn't even funded yet. All right, now we've got to make sure these guys can interact with the Ecto 1. Get all their little accessories. Oh, wouldn't it be neat if the Ghost Trap and the PKE meter and all had little homes inside the Ecto 1? I do not believe that to be the case. All right, here we go. I did try this with first we've got. I did try this with Joe figures when it first came out, and there were some questions as to how. Oh, that's what that little notch is. So that little notch right there. Now these are not going to fit with. Yeah, they're not going to fit with the with this on there. I don't think. Maybe. Huh. I mean, they're not going to fit inside. Wait, how's that supposed to go? Did I do that right? That seems right. Oh, wow. Maybe they do fit with that. I mean, they should. I'm not saying it would be reasonable if they didn't fit in there with that on, but also that would be just kind of a toy thing. And this obviously is designed to be a toy more so than, a replica. Oh, come on. We're almost there. Look at that. Okay, so they do fit on the gurney with the wands attached. Now, do they fit? Oh my gosh. And not only does it look like they're going to fit in there, but this will actually stay in place better. Uh-oh. I think we ran into something. Oh, that just fell off. Oh, this is all falling apart now. But I'm comfortable saying this can happen. Let's take a look inside and see what's blocking us. Nothing real. Oh, so if you see, there are nubs where the top equipment goes in, and I think those were hanging up on that. I'm going to give it one more try here, and then we're going to move on. And they all just fell off. All right, we're just going to jam it in there. Jam it in there. It's jammed in. Good job. All right. Okay, good enough. Now we have to see if we can get 4 Ghostbusters in this thing. So this door does not open. Oh, wait, do neither of the back doors open? I thought... Yeah, this one does. There we go. Okay, so we've got these 2 seats facing each other. There is absolutely no way that is going to work. I think we might have to put 3 of the guys in the front. I mean, the Joe I tried in here wouldn't even fit knees bent. Oh, okay. All right. So Peter is in. He's not comfortable. His head, his head's... I wonder if he could face the other way better. All right, get out of there. I feel like they could have made the seats just a little lower and it would have been okay. No, this is not. All right, let's try one more way to kind of fake this out. He's going to put his feet up on the seat. Because he's the kind of guy that would do that, for sure. And he just slid right back out. Oh, that does kind of wedge him in there a little bit, too. Okay. So that... He's kind of in there. Kind of sort of in there. It's not great, but he is. Okay. So there's Venkman. We need our driver. Who's driving? I think Ray. We're going to put Ray in the driver's seat. And it's going to be extremely difficult, I'm willing to bet. All right. Obviously, he doesn't get to bend his legs at all. And actually, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open both sides up as far as they go so I can kind of finagle. Let's see. You got to kind of slide his feet under the wheel. And then... I don't know if those stiff hands are going to hold that steering wheel very well. Obviously, Winston's going to be a little bit easier because he doesn't have to deal with the steering wheel. I'm just going to slide him in right there. Oh boy. Oh, we're going to put 3 up front, huh? Sorry, Winston, you're in the middle. Could be worse. You could be backseat, middle feet on the hump. And then Egon. This is silly. Obviously, completely ridiculous that we've got 3 in the front. And then Venkman just chilling in the back with his legs stretched out. And yet, not completely inappropriate. So they do all fit in the Ecto-1. They do. It's not great, but in a toy sense, it works. Like, at least you can get all of them in there. And at the end of the day, like, that's better than some other toys I've had in my life. Where, like, in the show, you know, you might have 6 characters or whatever hanging out in a van or whatever, but then 3 can fit in the thing. I can't think of a specific example, but I'm sure you can think of some 80s, 90s toy that was disappointing in that way. So you can at least fit all of them. And they're proton packs, by the way. No small feat. Getting them back out, maybe. Oh, boy. So all 4 Ghostbusters, they're proton packs, and if you so desire, you can just jam their various pieces of equipment in there too, although I probably wouldn't recommend it. It all works in a very toy way, but it does work, and I'm delighted. This is, you know, Hasbro does a lot of, I'm not going to get into how Hasbro is viewed, but I will say this. Over the past few years, the people who work at Hasbro designing and making toys have been making some of my childhood dreams come true. And I truly appreciate that. From the Transformers G.I. Joe crossovers to now these Ghostbusters O-rings. It is an amazing time to be a toy collector, and I sure do appreciate having this stuff now. So thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends about Needless Things, and until next time, buy what you like.
Smash that like button if you like Needless Things.